Suddenly a shot rang out. Kate fell and looked at me and said, "Help me, Dad." Those are the last words I will ever hear from my daughter.
This was our family's 9/11 terrorist attack by a foreign invader. They're not scared to come here. We're inviting them. Sanctuary Cities just says, come on down. You can have a pass in our city.
Heartbreaking stories this week on Capitol Hill. Families whose loved ones were killed by criminal illegal immigrants blaming sanctuary cities for their deaths. But the White House promising to veto legislation that would strip sanctuary cities of federal funds. Is the White House right or wrong? Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus to find out with Rich Karlgaard, Mike Ozanian, Elizabeth McDonald, Sabrina Schaefer, John Tamny, and Bruce Jackson. Rich, should sanctuary cities lose their federal funding?
Yes, they should. And this Republican bill that was just passed in the House may have a lot of flaws to it. It was passed in the heat of the moment, as we just saw, justifiable heat of the moment. But you can't have federal law that is flouted by cities. Imagine if you had sanctuary cities for income tax evasion or polygamy. It's the same thing. Bruce, what do you think?
Well, I think it appears to be knee-jerk politics and pandering. And quite frankly, if they're going to do this, they should, given all the reports about the undocumented immigrants that Trump has working for his companies, maybe they should extend it to sanctuary golf courses and resorts.
Well, Emac, listening to people whose loved ones have been murdered is not pandering at all. I think that's a bad analogy. But the main thing is if they're not abiding by federal law, these sanctuary cities, why should they receive federal money?
Yeah. Listen, it is a disgrace, an absolute national disgrace what these families are going through. Federal tax dollars go to these cities to enforce laws to basically stop illegal immigration. They're not doing what we pay them to do. So stop the funding. It is as simple as that. We've got, what, 43 states with sanctuary cities in them, where more than 8,100 criminal illegal immigrants are now in here, many of them committing crimes again and again. So enough is enough. Right. No more, not one more family should have to go through what those families have endured.
And Mike, you are always telling us, I think correctly, that incentives matter in human behavior. Illegal immigrant criminals keep coming back to places that give them a free pass. It's incentives, right?
You're right about that, David, but I would not stop funding this way. I think if these people broke the law that in these sanctuary cities, the politicians, they should be prosecuted. I think it would have been much better had the Republicans shown some backbone and used the power of the purse with the president's budget. I think that was the time, because then they could have actually made it tougher for these illegal immigrants to come into the country in the first place.
Yeah, but Sabrina, we have options now. We have this law in play, Kate's law. This guy, by the way, who killed Kate 5 times, he was deported and then kept coming back to sanctuary cities because they give him a free pass.
No, you're absolutely right, David, and it's so disturbing on so many levels, right? Of course, we have serious immigration challenges in this country. This particular story is just horrific and heart-wrenching, especially for any parent out there. And then we have the question, is our federalist society being undermined? So there's a lot of issues at play here. What worries me is when we sort of, as Rich even suggested, sort of this knee-jerk politics, when we're rushing to pass laws that I very often feel uncomfortable with, because the underlying message is that immigration is bad, that all immigrants are bad. I don't think that's the tone that Republicans want or that's good for the country. We need to address some of the very serious challenges. I'm not sure this law is the right way of doing it.
The bottom line here is we're focusing on immigrants. We should really be focusing on policies. Bad policies create bad behavior. When you have sanctuary cities, you got criminals that come back. When you have all these welfare programs for immigrants, and by the way, 47%, or over 40% of illegal immigrants receive some form of welfare. So it's the policies that are the problem more than the immigrants, correct?
Well, I don't think so. The Kate Steinle story is a tragedy, but one tragic story does not make. The facts are that immigrants are incarcerated at rates a fraction of what the American people are. So to turn this into something about immigrants is just statistically false. And as for the Republicans, shame on them. They talk a big game about constitutionally limited government. Then they use resources taken from the American people to then smack around the cities and states they live in. This is all a head fake.
John, you're against government spending too much money. I thought you'd be fine with starving these cities of money.
Yes, and I'm for federalism, too. I don't like the federal government taking money from us and then smacking cities around
Rich,
to do something that has nothing to do with immigration.
Rich, it's a question of incentives. Again, if you incentivize bad behavior, you'll get more of it, correct?
Yeah, and forget the statistics. All that matters is that Kate Steinle is dead, John. Right. But look, when you flout federal law, I think, you have to be cracked down upon. If we had sanctuary cities, as I said earlier, for income tax evaders, well, maybe, that I might personally support that one, or child molesters or things like that, you can't have that.
Not all sanctuaries are bad. I agree about Texas. Go ahead, Emac.
Mexico outlaws illegal immigration. I mean, this is symptomatic of the fact that we have really bad border security. And you know what? We've done this before. Washington, D.C., for example, said to the states, you don't raise the drinking age to 21, we will stop federal highway spending money coming your way.
Right. And, Bruce, I thought you appreciated that federal law usually trumps state and local law, no?
Well, no, I do, but I will say this. The whole answer to this isn't just some neat...
Hold on a second. If you accept that, then how can you accept the notion of sanctuary cities, which have local law trumping federal law?
Okay, the sanctuary cities thing is you're not going to get any undocumented immigrants to come out of the shadows to rat on these other people because they'll be deported. So you have to deal with the 11 million folks that are here. That's why the sanctuary city laws came about, because they wouldn't be able to help solve crime and because people would be worried they get deported. So the answer is immigration reform. It's immigration
reform. The fact is that they are not helping crime. Sanctuary cities are violating rules that save people's lives.
I agree with you 100%, David. All I'm suggesting is, rather than this funding of the cities and try to stop it there, if these people running these cities are breaking the law, they should be prosecuted. That's the way you deal with something that's illegal.
And, John, I love immigration. I married an immigrant. My family's immigrants. All of our families are immigrants. We love immigration to help build America, but we don't love criminals getting cover by these sanctuary cities.
Well, that's fine, but we're using one instance that is middly tragic.
No. Hold on. It's not one instance. There were several people that spoke at the Congress.
That's not a statistic, and so we're using that to act like left-wing people and then say that, oh, immigration's bad because of this. Well, you know what? Fight crime, but to sit here and then run against this, what is a pure market signal of people coming to this country want something better, and then say it's bad.
Sabrina, the concept of giving people cover from illegal behavior is wrong, is it not? Can't we just say that, black and white?
That is wrong. The question is, how do you address it? And I think one of the problems with this law is that you're actually sort of detracting from the larger issues. We have a problem, as you said, David, with policies. We have a problem with illegal immigrants coming here, and in part because we have such generous public assistance programs.
Bingo.
And we have a real problem with people who are educated and skilled not being able to get here because their borders don't touch ours. So those are real issues, and we don't want to make all immigrants sound as if they're bad. And so that's why I'm concerned about this law. I do oppose the idea of a sanctuary.
Hold on a second. Emac, I think, and I think you agree with me, it's the policies that are the problem, not the immigrants, correct?
The policies that are the problem, not the immigrants. We are for legal immigration. Even Hispanic immigrants and other immigrants do not like what is going on in sanctuary cities.
Bad incentives incentivate the wrong people to immigrate here, correct?
Yeah. Again, just substitute income tax evasion and you have the same thing. It would incentivize people to move to income tax evasion sanctuary cities.
By the way, I want to incentivize everybody to read your new book, Team Genius by Rich Carlgud. It is out in the bookstores. It's a great book. All right, first it was our computers and smartphones. Now it's our cars. A major recall after hackers show how easy it is to put the brakes on your connected car while you are driving. It's very scary stuff. We're going to be talking about it next.